Hello, my name is Kimberly Poe. I'm the Children and Young Adult Consultant with the Connecticut State Library, and today we are here with Jess and Lindsey from the Groton Public Library to tell us about Librarians Learn, which sounds really awesome and like some stuff I want to watch. So I'm just going to immediately turn it over to you guys to tell us a bit about this program because it sounds really exciting.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So Librarians Learn we can't even say it, is a video series that was inspired by Lindsey, actually.
Yeah. So I don't want to take you too far back into the pandemic because that was an awful time for all of us. But it was just a time where I think libraries did a great job providing information and getting books to people, but that sense of community was kind of missing that we had. And we really wanted to somehow replicate that. And one of the first things Jessa did as our teen librarian was to host a Zoom room for teens. And
it was very poorly attended.
There was no one. We would kind of sit together and be like, okay, what can we do? Because they weren't showing up, and we didn't blame them because they were in Zoom school. They didn't want to just be on screens all the time. They wanted to be with each other. Yeah. So we knew that whatever we had to do, it had to be pre-recorded. They could watch it on their own time. They didn't have to show up, right when they were done with school.
Exactly.
So then I started thinking about the things I was watching on YouTube, because I hadn't watched YouTube since I was a teenager, but during the pandemic,
there was a lot of time.
There was a lot of time. There was a lot of just like not knowing what to do with myself. And the YouTube channels that I liked the most were like the Try Guys. Yep. There was something called Ladylike, the React channel, and just watching people be people, it kind of made me feel less alone. And we were kind of hoping to replicate that.
Absolutely.
As a form of our community. And even thinking about the stuff that people liked on our Facebook, if we have a staff photo that goes up, that's usually the most popular
top engagement, most likes, most comments. That's what people want to see. Is they want to see us.
Yeah.
We're the library. The library isn't just a building.
Right.
So
that all being said, we wanted to create a video series focused on learning, because that is so important to libraries. Yep. And then failing, trying, and all of that.
Just the whole experience. We found that pre-COVID even, a lot of the teens would have explosive reactions to failure. They'd get angry, they would rage quit. And, it was a problem then. And I can only imagine, even though we weren't seeing them as much during COVID, it was probably exacerbated by all the stress that they were experiencing. And so we thought, if we took this opportunity to learn something, fail at it on camera, show that it's okay to fail. You can look silly and fail. And then how do you recover from that? Do you try again? Is it okay to fail and then decide, I really didn't like it anyway, so I'm not going to do it again. Mm-hmm. How do you make that choice, and how do you recover and keep going? And then you can also succeed through that hard work, through practice. So we wanted to be able to take this concept and put it into those narratives, which kind of builds into how do we go about creating that narrative. Mm-hmm. We talked to our staff members a lot. We found out, what do they want to learn? What are the teens learning? I mean, our very first video was a TikTok dance, because that's what was popular at the time. We look very foolish, but we tried.
We tried. I think we succeeded.
I think so. I don't remember it. It's been over a year.
Yeah.
But we did. So we took, what's been popular with the teens? What do we as staff want to learn? What do we want to try? So over the year and a half that we've been doing this, we've talked to staff members, we've done surveys, we find out different activities. And then once we have a lesson in mind, we kind of storyboard out how we want the video to go. So depending on the topic, the format of the teaching, we only have limited equipment. So while we do want it to be as authentic of a learning experience as possible, we do kind of have to have an idea of like, okay, this particular lesson is going to be best in short bursts following the steps. This lesson is going to be just the funny clips of us failing and then what the results are. Sometimes when it's a class, we've got to take anywhere from a couple hours of footage to, I think the longest we've ever dealt with is 8 hours of footage, and bring it down to a 10-minute video. That was Dungeons and Dragons. That was a late night. Yes. Mm-hmm. So once we have an idea of, where is the story? How do we convey this learning process? We take our iPhones, we take a tripod from Amazon, and we do our best. We got a MacBook at the library for all the video production we were doing between virtual story times and all of our pre-recorded videos. We found that iMovie was the easiest to edit on, and we got a MacBook for it. So it was really a multi-purpose investment, but it's really been quite simple to do.
Yeah. So these videos are usually like about 5 to 10 minutes long, depending on the topic. They come out now once a month. In the summer, they came out once a week because we had been shut down and had just a lot of time and creative energy that we needed to get out. But overall, it's an exercise in like modern storytelling because, and that's what we do as librarians.
And I would definitely advise to try the monthly. The weekly was a lot. And as we opened up and we had desk schedules and in-person programming, a weekly filming just was not realistic. So if you were going to try it, I would do it monthly to start.
Right.
And if, funding for it has been really easy as well. Most of what we do has been in-house supplies that we already own. So we learned origami, we use the paper we already have. And then the guest teachers that we've had have all volunteered to teach us because they're passionate about what they do. It's been a mixture of, community members who just have a skill that they want to share, and then actual businesses who've stepped out of their studios and their dojos to come to the library and teach us something new.
We even had one of the teens taught us how to do makeup, which was really cool to involve them in the process. And I learned a lot.
My mascara looks this good today because of her. Thank you.
There wasn't a whole lot when it came to funding at all. As far as advertising, because it's pre-recorded, it's already on Facebook, it's on Instagram. If anything, it's kind of nice because we get a chance to advertise the local businesses. Like I did reach out to, we have like a haunted history tour in our town, and they came and taught us on site at one of the cemeteries about like Victorian burial practices and ghosts, that kind of thing,
spirituality.
And so we were able to then show that we had that in our town. And it's a really cool experience for tourists, for people who are local who just want to learn more about like that niche fun part of history. I think all history is fun, but some of it's more interesting than others.
And then in turn, it advertises our programs and services. So we later hired her to do a program at the library. And so, you want to see what we did, come to this program. We've also been able to promote our take and make activities. So for the teens, the take home craft kits, we tried to match them to what we were learning. So when we learned how to tie a tie, they got the supplies to make a bow tie. So we were kind of able to tie in the community and have them learn with us in that way. It also made planning the number of make and takes so much easier, because if you just match the two together, it's like, all right, cool. November we're making ties and bow ties, and I'm done. And I don't need to think that hard any further.
So we clearly had a really good time, filming the stories and finding people and learning, but also we've had a pretty good community response.
Absolutely.
It's hard with videos to tell exactly who's watching, and we're a public library. We're never going to get 1 million views on a video. It's just not going to happen. And you kind of have to understand that whenever you're doing something like this. But
it's the little moments.
It's like the little moments.
You have had quite a few good ones.
I do. I was actually in line getting a COVID test just to be responsible, and the woman in front of me in line turned around and was like, "You're from the library. I've watched your videos. They're so fun. They make me happy." And then another time I was at my grandmother's 80th birthday, and one of her friends, who I know who she is, but not closely, she came up to me too and was like, "I love those videos." I'm like, "I don't know how you're watching them. Like, I don't like how did you see it?" But it's a little bit of an uncomfortable experience, but to know at least there's a few people out there that like valued what we were trying to do.
And she did tell you that it made her laugh, and she really needed to laugh during the pandemic. So I mean, we're making a fool of ourselves, but it's benefiting everyone.
Yeah, definitely. But my favorite interaction though is when your teams talked about when we learned how to skateboard.
So we learned how to skateboard, and it is probably in the top 5 of my Librarians Learn experiences. And one of our staff members, he's the financial assistant, so people don't really see him much. he fell while skateboarding, just straight wiped out. And so I asked him, like, can I put this clip in? Because that's the perfect example, because you see him fall and then you see him get up and continue to skateboard. So this is a good recovery process and example. So he said yes, but he really hoped he wasn't known as the guy who fell. So he comes into the teen area one day and they're like, oh my God, you're the guy that fell. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to be known as that, but it happened. But it's also kind of nice because the library is made up of so many different staff members that don't always get to see the public. They don't always get that recognition of doing what they do for the library. And so being able to take people from the back and put them in the public eye and let them know that it's not just the front end workers. There's a lot of people who run this ship, who keep it going.
Yeah. And even
if they fall.
Yeah. Even if they fall. And even while we were at the skate park, I mean, I don't want to say we stood out, but we stood out. But some of the skaters did like come up to one of my coworkers and was like, wow, I give you a lot of props for trying. So like people that might not interact with the library, like coming there, were like, cool, librarians on skateboards.
And we were intimidated by them because they were so good and so cool looking. And then we roll up in our like polos and cardigans, like, we're gonna skateboard too, guys. Like,
yeah, we all had it was also a good chance we connected with our Parks and Rec. So we're like, can we borrow helmets? We don't have them, but we definitely need them. So Parks and Rec let us borrow helmets. So again, it's like just like the community coming together in a very unique way to create that one was like a 3-minute video.
I know, that was short.
But yeah, so it's been a really great experience connecting with the community in a passive kind of way as well as
but it's passive for the community, but it's active for us. So like we're connecting as staff. It's been a great tool to kind of get all of us involved with each other and to kind of grow and build teamwork. So like we said, we poll people to find out what they want to do, and then we've had our ups and downs in participation. Most things that are after hours, people don't really want to stay after a 7-8 hour workday and then continue. So we found the times of days work differently, the size of the group, and just depending on the activity, some things are more intimidating, a little bit more dangerous, skateboarding. But we've been able to take pretty much everything anyone has asked to learn. So the skateboarding was by request. It was one of our staff members who wanted to learn how to skateboard. They even had an instructor lined up for us, and we're like, great, we're going to schedule it. Another one really wanted to learn how to make cranberry sauce, and we're like, perfect, this is the time of year for that. That's what we're going to do. So, people have been very involved, and even the ones who don't want to participate come up and ask us, what are you doing next month? I haven't heard what the next theme is. What are you learning? So they're invested in at least watching.
It's been an exercise in team building as well. Like, even if no one watched these videos, we got the chance to talk to each other, or even when we were like super shut down, some of us were working from home, we would set up stations in the library, and it would just be a break for people to do something a little bit creative. I do the cataloging, so just having a chance to step away from the cataloging and try and turn a Starburst wrapper into a butterfly. I at least got a treat out of it. I got a chance to do
I will
something
say we
different.
all failed at that one.
We all failed.
Not a single person succeeded at that one.
We all got treats.
Got candy.
Yeah. So that is a very condensed version of our Librarians Learn pre-recorded 10-minute video learning experiences.
Wow. In conclusion, watch their videos, turn this one off. There's nothing else to see here. My goodness gracious. I gotta tell you, there's something about Groton and spotting like local celebrities on TV or computers. Groton is shockingly good at that, because when we moved to Connecticut, I grew up there. I was in all the plays for the years that I was in school, and at grocery stores, book trader. Never seen you on TV, which sounds like maybe you're Angelina Jolie, but really it's just because they're watching like the school channel. And now the world, because that was a shocking number of years ago, the world has migrated to watching local Groton celebrities on YouTube. I feel honored to even be talking to you guys. This is amazing. OMG. So I I don't even know. You answered many of the questions that I would have asked, but one thing I'm wondering, and it seems like you've done a lot of things. I imagine, I know from personal experience that Dungeons and Dragons, you will look up and you're like, have 7 hours passed? Oops. I should eat. What's the capacity like for these? I can imagine that it varies activity to activity. So like you were mentioning, Dungeons and Dragons took a long time because like in order to play, it just takes that long. You can spend a half an hour arguing over whether to go into the sewer or like left. Like it can take that long. I know. But then something like skateboarding, and I remember when that skate park was built too. So I assume you guys went to the skate park. So, something like that maybe didn't take as long. You go and you do like an hour class or whatever. But you mentioned storyboarding, which sounds really fancy. What's the back end of this looking like, guys?
It's not that fancy. It's really just, we'll sit and chat, and like the next one that's coming up, we're going to learn how to wrap gifts without tape. The staff don't know that it's without tape yet, though. They just think they're wrapping a regular gift. So just don't air
and
this.
I'm going to have to watch this. We won't air, but like, that's not even possible. Can y'all send me like an early bird version, because I don't think that's real, but carry on.
So that's what we're going to learn next week. And we'll sit down and we'll kind of talk it out. Like, how do you think this would look best on a video? And we're thinking it's going to be hilarious watching people try to get these folds right. Mm-hmm. So we can either focus on the funny scenes that we're going to get and then put it together with what their finished product looks like as how the learning process went. Or we can go step by step and take the tutorial and kind of match each person's folds to the folds that you would need to learn. And it's really going to be what footage do we get from it. But if we have an idea going in, it makes it easier to edit. So over like taking this video in particular that we're going to do, we're probably going to get anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes per person. And we're going to need to take all of that footage and bring it down to ideally a 3 to 7 minute video. We don't like to go into the double digits. The shorter the video, the longer people will actually watch it. So with that in mind, I don't want to sit there and watch hours and hours of this footage. I want to be able to skip ahead to the parts that I think I need. And so that kind of makes the editing a little bit easier for us if we have an idea going into it, what we want this video to look like and what matches the learning experience. So when we do like a class setting, it's kind of nice because we're in the class. I remember what happened step by step. I can pull out the moments I remember were funny, and that works really well.
But it is different based on the people who are presenting, like the garden club. We had them come and they taught us gardening in our garden, which was a nice way to clear it up, get it ready for the spring. And they wanted to have a script. They wanted to have a voiceover of the things. So we were like, of course, that's great. And they were so excited. They came with their scripts prepared. So, I mean, every episode is definitely a little bit different.
Yeah. But it's really what are we learning? How is that going to convey the best?
Right. The best story.
Yeah.
It's still fancy. Don't pretend like it's not. But so you mentioned that people are recognizing you guys, and the teens are like, you're the guy that fell. And the minute you said that guy fell, of course, that's who he is now. So I mean, how have the teens been responding to this? Are you? I mean, I know once it's on, you said YouTube and Instagram is where you post, I believe, anyone can watch it, but I can imagine that sort of the thought process for how you're editing and putting these videos together are sort of for a younger brain, I can imagine. I too enjoyed Try Guys and Ladylike. But how have they been reacting to this? And did you ultimately hit your goal of, some more interesting community engagement?
So it's like Lindsey said earlier, it's hard to know who exactly is watching. I mean, you just see the number of views and then how far into the video they watched. What's nice about it is that even though it's designed as a teen program, it's credited as a teen program, it does have that universal appeal. Right. The guy who fell, his son watches all of them and he's 9 and he'll tell us how great the videos are and how funny they are. So we do have that universal appeal. Our everyday teens who come in, they like the funny ones. They don't like the ones where we learned and then we shared what we learned, and they want to
don't care about cranberry sauce. Couldn't care less.
No, they don't care about the cranberry sauce, but they like the jump roping, where we're trying to jump rope and we're all over the place.
Yeah,
Or
I'm on the ground.
skateboarding was really good for them. Personally, I like the ukulele video a lot.
Yeah.
I have a ukulele. I'll have to watch that video.
Yes, you can
Over
see
there.
us try
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
struggle.
Yeah. But also, I'm just thinking teens are on Instagram. We didn't have an Instagram before the pandemic, so at least it is on a platform where they are.
Yeah.
And you can kind of, we don't follow the teens on Instagram, but we know which ones are them when they like. It's hard not to know when it's literally
when
their
they
name.
say their name. Yeah, like, hey, it's so and so. We liked this. We're commenting.
Right. And it gives us a chance to kind of do other videos. We do a lot of videos here too. Even like the Reels, which is like the Instagram version of TikTok. And sometimes like Jessica gets the teens involved in those, and then they're in them and they're like
they get so excited
and
so they're pretty invested in what we do online. Like right now, one of their reels is going pretty, I guess, viral for library standards. We have no idea why, because we put it up like a month ago. It's just like Alka-Seltzer and a film canister exploding, and it's in slow-mo, and it's got nice.
That's cool. I'm gonna go watch. And you guys do have a fantastic Instagram presence. I watch all the time, but that's awesome. Like, who wouldn't wanna?
Yeah. So I mean, it's working. Where they're engaging with us, and now that they're coming back into the building too, we're getting that face-to-face back, which is nice.
And I would love to have the teens teach us more stuff. I don't know what they know, but I would love learning from
They've
them.
always wanted me to ride a hoverboard. They've offered multiple times, like, Miss Jess, I can bring my hoverboard in. I'm like, you just want to film me falling? And they're like, maybe. So we can give them that.
Okay.
We can learn how to hoverboard.
Well, awesome. I guess all I want to know is, like, what are some of your favorite tries? I wanna go watch them.
So ukulele is one of my top 5. I'm not even in that one because I already know I'm not musically inclined and I don't want to be. Like, so that was fine, but I think it's so funny.
And it was also the first one we filmed that I was like, this is really well cut together. It's really funny. It was like an evolution in our editing. So I do like that one too. I think the most practical one though that we did, like the gardening, was very helpful, because then I went to my garden, was like, I can cut things. I'm not afraid that it's going to immediately die.
I was able to prune my bushes and trees with like confidence instead of just whacking at them. So yes. Gardening was helpful.
We had our Parks and Rec teacher of karate come, and he taught us some stuff, including how to break a board with our arm. And for me, that was so empowering and exactly what I needed at that time, when I'm like, I don't know what's happening in the world, but I can do things. If I can break a board with no muscle strength, like, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like a really nice reflective moment.
One of our staff members, we did Librarians Learn yoga, and she ended up signing up for yoga classes afterwards. So, that was really impactful for her. I'm trying to think.
Skateboarding was really fun.
Yeah, skateboarding was so funny.
It was so fun.
That was really good. I don't know. We've done so much now that I think
that's a great list. I cannot imagine a world in which librarians watch this and don't immediately want to go find your videos to watch a couple. So there's a handful to get folks started, and by folks I mean me, as soon as we're done today. So
what we should learn next. Anybody who watches, let us know what we should learn next. If you can teach us anything.
Have you guys done like nail art designs? I watch people do the fancy, and I'm like, how?
I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure you can find something.
Yeah, I literally have the most chipped nail polish on right now. The fact that you mentioned that, I'm like, yes.
And then you look at just saying, I like getting my nails done, so I'd be interested. That's a little thing for me. But this was amazing. Jessica, Lindsey, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I am always ecstatic to hear what Groton's doing. I consider it my Connecticut home library, even though I've never worked there. But thank you for your time and for sharing. And again, I just know once the other librarians know this exists, up your numbers go for sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah.